Hey YouTube, this is a quick video to share some of my thoughts and opinions about KEF speakers. So here before us we have some KEF reference 3s, KEF reference 1s, KEF LS50 metas. In the living room I have some KEF reference 5s, and then in the hallway here, maybe I'll walk out and show you here at the end of the video, I have some R700s that are in a box. On the other side of the room I have some older KEF LS50s. So that's the original generation KEF LS50s. It's being driven by a, what is that? It's a Denon PMA A110. And then under the desk on each side, I have some REL T7Is. And amazing setup on that side. But that's primarily not, mostly not what I wanted to talk about today. I really wanted to focus on the reference series. So I recently, sadly, just sold the reference ones, and I'm sure I'm going to end up regretting the decision, because technically the reference ones are my favorite KEF speakers. Now, I haven't heard Blades before. Those probably would become my new favorite had I, if I had the opportunity to listen. But the reference ones, to me, are just about perfect when it comes to mid-range and above. The ability to reproduce vocals on the reference ones is just incredible to me. So cohesive. The detail you can get, the ability for the speaker to disappear is amazing. Just really, really impressed with the reference ones. So why am I selling them? Well, here in this room, I have this weird seating arrangement. Like I said, this room is sort of dual purpose. Entertainment on one side, work on the other. I sit maybe, let's see, the room is 13.5 feet wide by 15 feet deep, 10-foot ceilings. And I sit maybe 8 feet away from the speakers, I would guess. That speaker is about 2 feet from the wall. That speaker is about 1 foot from the wall. So, you can do some math and kind of figure it out. But yeah, I sit kind of in a bass knoll. And what I found with the reference ones is that I need to turn my subs up a little bit. These are REL S510s. Great pairing with the reference series, by the way. But I find that I need to turn them up a little bit more. And when I do, it creates some bass issues here in the room. I think if I were able to dedicate this room for listening, and I was able to sit back even 1 or 2 feet further back, I probably would prefer the reference ones in here. But the reference threes are able to, for whatever reason, they're able to kind of overcome the bass knoll that I sit in and give me a more balanced sound where I don't have to run the subs as hot. Talking about the subs just here for a sec. The S510s paired up with these 6.5 inch drivers on the reference series, perfection. I mean, it's like they were made for each other. And I'll post a video down in the description that REL actually put together, where they did a reference ones at a show, and they did a stack of 3 S510s on each side. Really impressive in my opinion. So look for that in the description. I'll try to find it and post it there. What else did I want to say? So yeah, I think I explained why the reference threes work a little bit better for me here in this room with my seating arrangement. I did run the reference fives in here for a short time, and they were just a little too overwhelming. They put out, I got unbalanced bass response here with the reference fives. Not that much bigger than the reference threes, but it was just enough to kind of tip it over the edge where it was just too much. But I'm very happy with them they're in my living room. So I'll show you that here at the end of the video. What else? What do you get when you go from one series to the next? Well, the original LS50s, I love that speaker. I think it's an amazing speaker, but it's really, really important what equipment you pair it with. And I think that applies to all KEF speakers, but especially so with the original LS50s. With that Denon PMA A110, the original LS50 sounds magnificent. I think it still sounds great with the newer metas, which is here on the right. But for me, sitting near field at my desk, I just prefer the older KEF series. But going from LS50s, so the original LS50s, and then you go to the Meta, I think KEF did a really good job with the Meta of making it a little bit more refined. I do think it tips the scales a little bit more toward detail retrieval, which, I can appreciate that. But what I have found over many months of listening is that I actually prefer the older series of the LS50, at least with the equipment that I have to pair with. I actually prefer the older series. So, but then when you jump up to the reference series, here's what I think is pretty remarkable. You get even more detail retrieval, but it's a little bit smoother. And how does that work? How do you get more detail, how do you get more detail and refinement, but no listening fatigue whatsoever, no graininess? And I really think it probably comes down to higher quality crossover parts, just overall a little bit higher quality parts inside is the best guess that I have. But Steve Guttenberg mentioned something also recently in his video about the KEF Reference 3s, the newer Meta version, is he mentioned something about the remarkable ability of the reference series to deliver a lot of great detail, but no listening fatigue. So wanted to mention that. What else did I want to talk about? So sizes, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything there. Reference 1 probably would be the right fit for this room, 13 and a half feet wide, 15 feet deep, if I could sit a little bit further back. But because I can't, the reference 3s, I think, overcome the bass null here. I do give up some in terms of the speaker's ability to disappear. The reference 1, when set up right, can completely disappear. Reference 3s, not as much, actually not much at all. It doesn't disappear anywhere near as well as the reference 1s, but I'm sure if I had a much bigger room, they would probably disappear great. When I walk in and show you the reference 5s, they are also, that room is on the borderline of being a little too small for them. They really need a lot of space. But they do sound great. When we watch movies in there and we listen to music in there, it is a great experience. It could be better, though. If we had more space, it could be better. What else? Speaker height. So with the reference 1s, I had the stands that go with the reference 1. It was designed. It was the older version that was a little bit more rounded. The newer version of the stands are more squared off. For me personally, I think the reference series benefit from being elevated a little bit more, elevated a little bit more. With the reference 1s and the reference 1 stands, even with putting the Gaia feet, isoacoustics Gaia feet, they still were a little bit too low. So I actually put wood blocks underneath to get them up even higher, and that's how I was able to achieve near perfection. On my reference 3s, I run the Gaia 2s, and on my reference 5s, I run the Gaia 1s. And that, at least for these, it gets it up high enough for me. I don't need any additional materials to raise them further. Equipment matching, I think, is really important with any KEF speaker. I have found, for my personal taste, I love the matching, the pairing of Gold Note IS1000 with the reference. And if you check other videos on my channel, you'll see I did a whole comparison of some various super integrated amps. And for me personally, I landed on the IS1000 being a great matchup for KEF. Right now, I am playing with a separate amplification. I have found a little bit better, a little bit of a benefit to feeding the reference series with more juice, but the IS1000 is able to do a fantastic job by itself. Let's see. I talked about speaker height. You benefit getting the tweeter up a little bit higher. Oh, in terms of speaker height, I actually found that the stands that go with the LS50 Metas, to me, did a better job, just because of the height, than the ones that are designed to go with the reference 1s. And I think the reference 1 stands I think they start at 22 inches, and I think the LS50 stands are at 24 inches. But just keep in mind, in addition to that, I also added the Gaia feet. So I just share that again. I think it's really important to get the tweeter up, at least for my personal taste. So I think that was about it. I'll walk in here and show you the other speakers, and then yeah, and then if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. But let's take a quick stroll and take a look. So here we have some R700s, and they're in the box there. And then here's the reference 5s. And pretty big. Like I said, they are pretty close to the wall. This one is a bit crammed into the corner. But yeah, there's the S510s. I have a separate sub that runs with my KEF R4, or what is it? KEF reference 4C center channel. But that is it. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments section. I'll do my best to answer. Thanks.